This week I'm drinking a
That's a good one. Was that
delicious. Yeah, this
Star
is
Blast? Yeah.
Star Blast. Are you a fan of Star Blast?
Yeah.
You
Yeah. So we had key lime pie today, and it actually tastes like tropical Skittles.
What is the
Are
flavor?
we recording already?
Yeah, we've been recording for a while.
Ever since your mic was muted?
Yeah, ever since then. What is Star Blast? What flavor is Star Blast?
I don't know. I have no idea.
Is Star Blast like a candy in the US?
No.
Okay, so it's just a made-up thing that Bang did.
It's a made-up thing.
At Bang CEO. At Bang CEO, if you want to sponsor this podcast,
they won't.
Okay, but don't worry. Ignore that, Bang CEO.
I emailed them for my stream already. They ghosted me aggressively. They said, "Can you send full body shots and tell us how much you work out?" I was like, "I mean, I work out, but my channel is not about working out."
Don't they
but
like
also
it
you
more...
sponsor these stream idiots.
But aren't you supposed to just like sort of do this? And then like never mention it?
Yes. Which is why I'm like, why won't you call me back? Because like, I do that already for free. I stream and then I'm like, I drink a bang, haha, and then I put it away. Maybe I'm messing up by actually mentioning it.
I went to my shop, the shop I normally go to, my training, like where I buy supplements, to buy this, well, to buy a case of them. And I found out that they sell the American version of Bang, which has 400 milligrams of caffeine per can. In Australia, it's actually illegal to have 400 milligrams of caffeine per can. And the Australian one, I think, only has 200.
That's a shame. Ever since you guys lost caffeine and guns, you just really lost your edge. You just lost your edge over there. That's why snakes are everywhere.
People unsubscribed during the last podcast instead of subscribing. So I figure it needs to be said because otherwise you guys are forgetting. So hit the subscribe button down below. Famously, on the last podcast, we actually had about 55 unsubscribes on the channel. So I guess I need to continue to tell you guys to subscribe so you don't just people are just watching the video like, I guess I should unsubscribe. You didn't tell me to subscribe.
Instructions unclear. I guess I should unsubscribe.
Can you not unsubscribe, please? That's just don't do that, please. Hello and welcome back to TCS with Josh and George. This is, I don't even know what episode this is anymore. This is, I think, chronologically, like in terms of uploads, this is probably going to be like episode 2 or 3, but it's actually like episode 8 or 9 that we've recorded. I don't know, am I supposed to tell them that? Or is that a bad thing to, yeah, no? My name is Josh, the regular host of this channel, and this is George, the new host of this channel.
I'm the other host.
He's the other host.
I'm the assistant to the host.
So we've officially uploaded episode 1. It's gone live, and no one said they hated you.
They said they hated you.
Yeah, that's normal. That's the standard that's pretty normal on the YouTube channel. But they never said they hated you.
Not me directly. No, they were actually pretty nice to me. That made my heart very warm. It was very nice.
So thank you.
And
guys.
I bought WRC9 based on one of the comments.
Oh, fantastic! Well, that's good.
I bought it. It's $20.
Was it good?
I haven't started it yet, but it was $20. I downloaded it today and started installing it.
That's good.
I was really excited.
I love the fact that the YouTube community is so nice. They can come in here and support George when he comes on the channel. It's just a real shame that you guys won't support me, the guy creating the goddamn content on this channel.
No, I'm the new toy. They'll hate me eventually.
Yeah. I mean, after wearing this shirt on the PlayStation podcast, I think they're going to probably hate me too. But hey, I love all consoles. Shoot me. What am I supposed to do? Game Pass is better than PlayStation Now.
Whoa.
Sacre bleu.
Chat. Comments. That's all him.
I think
That's
you agree.
all him comments.
I think if you disagree in the comments, then I think you're the strange one.
Yeah, I mean, that's Game Pass is definitely a good feature, but that doesn't mean the PlayStation is bad. That's what people mess up in that debate. Is like they think that saying Game Pass is good means we think PlayStation is worse than Xbox, and that's not what that is.
That's not true. It's just that Game Pass is good.
yeah, Game Pass is better than PS Now. PS should step their game up and get to the level of their competitor. Um,
But that doesn't mitigate the fact that like PlayStation has better exclusives because it does, or
no, it absolutely does all
you
day.
know, or like the hardware is better, for example. Like I think there's pros and cons of each of the consoles, and that's kind of what we got into with the first episode. The funny thing is, we actually recorded episode 1 of the podcast like almost 2 months ago now. This whole
84 years.
yeah, 84 years ago, the whole PS5 problems debate, and we got some pretty fair and unfair criticism, I would say, about that episode. I think a lot of people were unhappy that we didn't love the PS5 unequivocally. But I mean, I guess anyone who's been watching me for the past year knows that I'm not kind of just going to come out here and lie about something. If I think there's a problem with something, we're going to say it. I mean, I'm not being paid by Sony or anything, so why am I just going to sit there and praise them unconditionally? There's a lot of things that I like about the PS5, and I think, if you listen to that whole podcast, you would know that we were pretty fair about that. But there's also a lot of stuff that does suck about the PS5. I mean, honestly, I could do the same kind of video about Xbox. If people are interested in seeing that, I could talk about what I love and hate about the Xbox Series X, because there's a lot of stuff that I love about that console. And there's a lot of stuff that is absolute dumpster fire in that console as well. So maybe we could do the same thing for Switch or Xbox if people are interested.
Yeah, I think a lot of people saw the video and thought they were going to click it and we would just be bashing PlayStation.
Yeah.
But then they watched it like, oh, this is pretty reasonable.
Yeah.
So anyone who actually watched the video thought it was a pretty even approach. Today, I tried to go on the store to just download my PSN Plus games, and I didn't know where to go. I was lost for a long time. And I was like, why is this so hard? Why do I have to like Google where to find my games?
Yeah.
And why is there just not a page that says, hey, you pay for PS Plus, come download the games? I was so mad. And then on the other end, I actually quit playing Xbox because I thought the titles were bad.
Sure.
Which I think is a way worse problem than having weird UI issues. Like, to say the actual thing you're supposed to do is not fun. I was like, I don't want to play Madden anymore. I don't want to play the next iteration of a sports game. Sea of Thieves isn't doing it for me. And I jump ship. And I think having great titles is better. If you have to pick, having great titles is better than having optimal Game Pass or UI improvements or trophy accessibility. I'd much rather just play good games. So I like PlayStation. We like PlayStation,
That's fair. And you're right, though, dude. At the end of the day, you're there to play a game. You're there to play a game, not play with the UI or mess around as an entertainment or an ecosystem. If you're agnostic in terms of a platform, like I think George and I are, George plays a ton of stuff on Steam, Switch, and PlayStation. I play a ton of stuff on Switch, Xbox, and PlayStation. Then it doesn't actually matter. Like all of those little accoutrements, if you're cross-platform, don't mean anything. It's really just, what is the content? How easy is it for me to download and play the content that I want to sit and enjoy, rather than like, how can I get fully immersed in the ecosystem? And I think maybe that's a difference. Like, people might have been coming at it from a perspective of having one console, perhaps. I'm not sure.
So I think when it comes to console fandom and standing and fanboying, I think the only group that really benefits from that is the respective console that is getting stand. Because if, as a consumer, everyone said, well, look, we all really love PlayStation, but we're not going to support this until it gets as good as the Xbox, we'll buy an Xbox, then we would have better products. We would have better games. We would have better consoles.
Yeah, definitely. I agree.
Competition drives that. So, if all of us as a group of gamers can get out of the head of, forget those guys and I hate those guys too, I think we just have better stuff.
Yeah, I agree. The sort of dying on that hill of a particular platform, it doesn't drive the industry any further forward. And believe it or not, the console manufacturer doesn't care. They just want your money. That's all they care about at the end of the day.
Yeah. Did you get any new platinums recently? Have you gotten any new trophies?
I started playing Biomutant this week.
I wanted to get that.
I might be able to sort you out.
Okay. I was thinking about getting it. Are you having a stroke?
THQ, believe it or not, are one of the few companies that are prepared to talk to me. So
no, I believe it.
So THQ may have sorted me out. I'll send you something through after the podcast.
Yeah, I was thinking about buying it this morning, but then I just finished the trophy on Timber versus Tennis. I got the platinum on that.
You finished it finally.
I couldn't sleep. It was like 6 a.m. I woke up on the couch and I was like, let me just play a couple more matches. And I randomly unlocked the last skin I needed, got the platinum. I was also playing a game called Death Crown. Have you seen that on the marketplace? No. It's a black and white indie game for $12.
Okay.
And I just thought no one downloaded it because there was only 24% trophy unlock on PSN profiles. And turns out all the trophies are bugged. None of them work.
Oh no, that sucks. Yeah, I hate it when that happens. So you're gonna have to delete your entire account, right?
Yeah, start a fresh one. All 300 plats in the garbage. I need that 100% profile.
Yeah.
No, I messaged the dev and I was hey man. I did.
Them? Wow. Okay. All right. Go on.
I said, Dev, I was like, guys, your trophies are broken. Like 0% unlock for like 75% of your trophies. And they're like, well, the game just came out and the trophies are very difficult and people are unlocking them on Steam. I was like, no. I beat all 3 campaigns. Your trophies are for beating the bosses inside of the campaigns. I got the campaign trophy, but not the boss trophies. I was like, look, I even did the PvP. I took screenshots of my PS5. I was like, look, man, I did these. It's not working. And he was like, let me contact. He was like, the publisher is responsible for porting. So they're responsible for making sure the trophy works. Let me email them. He emailed me back a day later. He was like, they are broken. I did not know that.
Oh, wow.
And he was like, and we don't know how to fix it and Sony is not responding to us very quickly. So we're trying to figure it out on our own. And I was like, well, it's good to know. I'll put it down until you fix it. They're like, it is on our radar. We want to fix it though. Thanks for playing our game.
Good job.
It's a cool game.
That's cool. That's cool. I can't believe you go to those lengths. I would have just been like, all right, I guess I'm deleting the account. Who wants to start helping me boost Fortnite again?
Well, if they don't know, they'll never fix it.
Good on you.
I did have one dev. One dev was like, we're not going to fix that. One dev was like, no, it's not financially worth it.
That's the Mad Max guys, right?
No.
They came out. The Mad Max guys like, yeah, we're not going to fix that trophy.
The community manager? No,
I'm sorry, but we're not fixing that.
No, it was it was the spelling game. Spellbreak, Spellbound, I forget.
Okay.
No.
And they're like, yeah, we're not going to fix that.
Well, one of the trophies you had to grind like 100 levels of a tower, and it was so unreasonable that people complained, and they patched the game to make it only level 50 of like a grind, and they didn't patch it on Vita, and I was playing it on Vita. Spellspire is the name of it.
So you still had to get to like 100.
And I was like, can y'all patch it on Vita, because I'm playing it on Vita and this is terrible, and it's separate trophy list, so I can't even. It's not cross, so I can't even play it on PlayStation. And they're like, no. They said not enough people bought the Vita version, so we're not going to fix it.
Actually, so you're the only one playing it on the Vita.
Yeah.
Dang.
It hurt.
Brutal.
So I just put it down, man. That's one where I just have to give it up. I can't put like another 50 hours into doing spelling games.
I haven't got a platinum in a while. I probably need to get that adrenaline rush of a platinum trophy popping. I haven't had something in a long time. But yeah, I heard a little bit of no, go on.
Biomutant's bugged, I heard.
It's a bit rough. Cool concept, a bit rough. I did get a chance to play the game at a event I was attending when I worked in the industry a number of years ago, and it's a completely different game now. This isn't the same game I played.
Really?
It's a completely different game. So I'm
What's
guessing
different?
Everything. So I think they must have, because this game was announced years ago. My assumption is it went through some sort of development strife at some stage, and they just had to redo the game. So it's a significantly different game to what I remember demoing a few years back, probably like 3 or 4 years ago. So yeah, I'm playing that. What else is there? I think that's all at the moment. I haven't really been playing much else. I've been watching the television series White Collar. Are you familiar with that? Familiar there?
What's White Collar about?
It's an old USA series.
I remember that series.
Yeah, and there's a cop, and then there's I don't even know what he is, art forger or an art thief, played by Matthew Bomber, and he's like arrested, but then he gets let out on like a work release program where he has to work with the FBI to take down. It's kind of like Catch Me If You Can, except a TV series, and instead of Leonardo DiCaprio, it's Matthew Bomber.
Huh.
You remember it?
No, I've never watched it. That used to come on after Suits.
Yeah, it's like paired with
Yeah.
Suits. Yeah, the two of them
Yeah.
are like paired on the same network. So I've been watching. My wife bought me the box set of that because she likes Matt Bomer. So I could feel inadequate while we're watching it. This guy's just ripped and jacked and wearing nice suits, and I'm sitting here just eating Cheetos on the couch.
Looking up review scores for Biomutant.
Feeling,
She's like,
feeling,
look how hot this guy is.
Feeling inadequate. Reading through my YouTube comment section, people complaining like, "What's wrong with his hair? Is anyone
His
else?
hair's messed up.
I can't get past the first 2 minutes because of his hair. Why is it like
I hate
that?
him.
I hate his face. When's he gonna change his hairstyle? It's bothering me. I'm not gonna watch him till he shaves his hair.
I thought I told you in my previous comments to change your face. If you're not going to change your face, I'm not coming back.
So I've been enjoying the series. I've been watching that. I hadn't seen it before, so it's kind of nice to watch an old series like in its entirety now. That's not like one of those like super popular series that everyone talks about. So I've been doing that. That's been my sort of chill out time over the last week while.
I've been watching clips of Sopranos on YouTube. I don't know why the YouTube algorithm wants me to watch it, but it was just like, hey, you would be interested in organized crime. Here you go. And I'll be like, all right. I never watched the Sopranos series, so I just have like 600. It's the YouTube algorithm is just like, here's everyone in the show and when they get whacked. And I was just like, oh, I didn't know he was a rat. It's just ruining the whole series for myself.
The YouTube algorithm like watches your videos and like looks at you, analyzes your face, you're like, this looks like the kind of guy that would be into the Sopranos. We should just promote a bunch of Sopranos content at him.
Well, they're right. YouTube is right. Because I'm like, this is great. I like this show.
Right.
Maybe I should go actually watch it.
It's a great show. You should absolutely watch it.
I was like, I think I'll sit down and watch it.
Yeah,
now.
I know, right? Yeah, but that's it, really. I've just been chilling a little bit. The YouTube videos are getting back into a bit more regularity. People would have probably noticed on the channel. Feeling less miserable about myself. So slowly sort of pumping out a bit of content now.
The last video was great. So I've never really been on a channel where like not my Twitch channel interactions or even on my YouTube stuff where you put a video and just like 100 people are just like, I air my opinions. So it was really fun to hang out in the video after the last podcast went live and just talk to people who had opinions. I really did enjoy that.
Are you talking about my video or your video?
Your video.
Oh, my video.
The podcast. Podcast video when it went live. It went live, and after it got downvoted to hell, everyone who posted comments, I was like, well, let me talk to people and just, make it more real and more, more personal. And
George texts me that night, or that morning for him when it went live. And he's like, hey, man, there's a lot of dislikes on this. Is that normal? And I'm like, yeah, that's pretty much the story of my life. This happens every time. And he's like, oh, okay. I didn't realize you had to deal with this. I'm like, yeah. No, this is just what I deal with on a daily basis. Just the standard level of depression.
I didn't think it was that. Everyone else was mad though. I don't know why they got mad.
Everyone's always mad at me. I'll say something that will just upset people inherently. So,
when I upset people on Twitch, they're like, George, let's have a discussion and sort this out and like grow as people.
No. It's good. So I'll tell you what I do in that situation. I've got a guy called Lee, and he just bans them. No, there's no discussion. Lee just bans them straight away. And Lee, by the way, Lee will be watching this video now. So if anyone's leaving comments like that right now, Lee, just refresh this video. Check if anyone's left any comments. Just ban them. Straight away, just delete them. Ban them. Ban them all.
Ultra mod. Lee's the best.
That's how we do it. Lee's the best. Lee is the best.
Lee comes by my Twitch streams and is just like, sorry, I can't hang out here. I'm like, you don't have to be here, Lee. Why are you here? Go get some rest, Lee.
We're not paying him.
Yeah, he's so great though. Anyway,
so today's episode, I want to talk about backwards compatibility and sort of game preservation. It's an interesting one. So full disclosure, George and I recorded these podcasts. We've been recording them for about 8-9 weeks, I would say, at this point. And we did record an episode about 8 weeks ago about the PlayStation 3 store being shut down. It's all been recorded and edited, but it was before they reversed the decision to reopen the store. And I feel like it's a little bit of a redundant episode to upload now because a lot of the stuff we discuss in there is how, it's not that big of a deal. Purchases will still count, etc., etc. And so it felt like I still like the conversation we had, and we kind of thought, let's have that conversation again rather than just like lose that to the ether, because we're not going to upload that episode now. So the conversation today is more around that. Before we start, though, I just wanted to introduce a new segment into the show. Is that okay? Oh, I didn't actually run that by you, but I thought...
I had no idea this was going to happen. This is great. Yeah, I would love to see a new segment.
That reaction. Okay, so the new segment that I want to introduce into the show is called Snake News. And basically it's just going to be like just a little bit of snake news. It won't be a weekly segment, but just whenever there's like some significant snake news that happens in the world, then we'll just bring it up here, just so everyone's all up to date on all the latest with snakes.
Okay. Like Solid Snake or the snakes in your house?
No, the kind that lives in your attic.
In your attic. We don't have attic snakes
specifically
in the
my
United
attic.
States. We don't have attic snakes, right? United States people? I don't think so.
I don't know if it's a thing or not, but George has been always fascinated by the fact that there's just a lot of snakes in Australia.
Sounds dangerous.
So I thought, look, let's do a bit of snake news. So I've got an article here from 9 News Australia called Snake Catcher Hauls Dozens of Snake Skins Out of a Queensland Roof. So that reaction...
Roof? Like over your house?
Yeah, above your house. Okay, so the article reads, "Don't look now, but there could be snakes in your ceiling." That's right, snakes, plural. The Sunshine Coast snake catchers surprised their loyal fans with a post on Facebook today showing what could be dug out of a roof. Catcher Dave was pictured holding what might have been some particularly I don't know what this word, dissected wigs after a job yesterday, but the fruits of his labour were a bit creepier. They actually do look like wigs that he's holding. How was this haul? Dave conducted on the inspection yesterday. He brought down over 30 snake skins out of the family's roof space, and there's probably about another 20 more up there.
Snake skins.
Snake skin. You know how they like shed their skin?
They molt.
Yeah. So anyway,
so he got the real snakes too.
No, he never found the real snakes. He just found.
Where
the
did they go?
That's the terrifying part of the story. That's the truly terrifying part of the story, is that we don't know where the snakes are.
The snakes go up into roofs? How did they get up there?
They just slither.
Can they just go up like that?
I think they slither up like the drain thing that goes into your roof, and then they kind of just like go in, and then they just chill out up there. In the cold months, they need a nice warm place to live. So they sit up there and just hang out in the roof, and then shed their skin and have 30 babies.
God, imagine a snake falling right on your head while you're eating some cereal.
Oh,
some muesli. Is that what you guys have?
No.
Some. Okay.
What would happen if you were just having cereal and a snake fell out of the roof?
I would probably exit out of my platinum trophy video that I'm watching and then go ahead
burn the house
kill
down
myself. I would just feel like it's not worth it. I have to save my family.
Would you
get out of the house?
If there was, you're at your kitchen table eating cereal, and then the roof collapses under the weight of snakes that are in your roof.
Does it sound like slithering up there? Like, yeah, it's always been like that.
the real estate agent's like, nah, it's always like that, mate. Don't worry.
No, it's actually haunted. It's not snakes up there. It's actually a haunted house.
I would prefer
that. It's a
that.
phasmophobia house.
I would prefer that, to be honest.
Oh, thank God. As long as it's not 30 snakes above my head.
Yeah. So anyway, that's snake news. We don't have a jingle or anything for the segment, but I'll just go, bum, 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 snake news.
We need a snake outfit and rattles.
If there's any other segments that viewers want us to include in the podcast, just let us know, and we can look at starting to include new segments. Each of us will just bring new segments along as we come up with them. So, the podcast is evolving.
I'll brainstorm one for next week. I'll do the next segment.
Okay, you'll bring a new segment to the table, and we'll see how snake news goes over the coming weeks.
Oh God!
All right, so topic of the show is around game preservation. So as we said at the top, or like 5 minutes ago, the PlayStation 3 store and Vita store, it got announced a few months back that they would be, a month or two back, that it's shutting down. and you would no longer be able to purchase games from those storefronts. Anything you already own will continue to live in your library. A lot of people were very unhappy about that, and Sony decided to reverse the decision, which baffles me as well, just quietly. I never would have expected Sony to reverse a decision like that, but they've opted to allow the storefronts to remain open indefinitely, so they'll stay open forever. On that, can I just say, next time they announce that it's shutting down, it will be shutting down for good. I very much doubt that they will backtrack it again. So if you're wanting to play PS3 or Vita games, go and buy them and just play them now, get it over and done with. Because I guarantee you, next time they announce it, they'll say it's shutting down in a month, and we're not changing our minds. So just be aware of that. Sony are a little bit like that. Okay, so they backtracked the decision, but it created an interesting discussion about like how important is it that these games are available to us? How important is it that we can access these old games around, game preservation and retro gaming and past consoles? A lot of people in my comment section seemed quite entitled to the fact that if they purchased a game on the PS3 or the PS2, then they should be able to still play it on their current gen consoles. Like they were sort of entitled to that backwards compatibility. My mindset's slightly different on it, and I think our conversation sort of aligned the two of us. But I guess just like using that as a bit of a jumping off point, because no one's heard our previous conversation. What are your sort of thoughts on that?
So when we first had this conversation and we were kind of just processing it, like, what does this mean? My immediate thought was, I do not care. that was like, yeah. I don't have a PS3. I haven't turned on my Vita in months, and the games that I have played, I already bought. So like the outrage over the store being closed did not really touch me. But while we were having that conversation, that's when it really became like, well, who cares about backwards compatibility? What is it? Is it important? Now, for a while, the almighty YouTube algorithm, I have been watching a lot of collector YouTube channels. Mm-hmm. I think it's interesting to see people collect, but I personally do not. I'm not that interested in it. I'm someone that is more for the experience of gaming, more so than capturing the experience, if that makes sense. Uh-huh. And like, realistically, I can't put stuff all over my house. I can't collect 100,000 games because my wife will be like, what is this crap? Get this out of here. So collecting to me has been like a thing that exists. I respect it, but it's just not something that super interests me. Especially with the idea that the PS3 holds digital games. So if the store closes, it becomes impossible to ever get those games ever again. That was kind of an interesting argument. I think something should be said for preserving experiences that have existed, but I don't know really what is the way to do that. Do you just own a PS3 and then install all those games on it, and then you just keep it forever in that format,
Yeah, there's a few things to unpack there. And I think like caveat as well is that, the PS3 digital storefront shutting down would eliminate some games from the ecosystem. They would disappear forever. But it's important to note the PlayStation 3, up until very late in its life cycle, I'm talking 2010, 2011, everything was physical. There was very few digital games of consequence. Most games were physical. Going all the way through to when it sort of concluded when the PS4 came out, it did release pretty much all of its games physically as well. So, the majority of PS3 games are still intact. They still can be purchased physically off eBay and things like that and played. The other thing to note as well is that the PlayStation 3 had, a significant portion of its good quality games ported to the PlayStation 4. Same with like 360 to Xbox One. A lot of those games did get remasters or remakes or something in some form to PS4. So I'd say a lot of the decent games in the PS3 library did come across. There's obviously still some stuff stranded there, but not heaps. And then of the stuff that is stranded there, not much of it is digital. So the digital storefront shutting down, well, it's disappointing for some people. It doesn't mean that those games are gone. Most of those games, I would say, are still purchasable in some format. So, minus a few. There is a few that would have been lost. But I think it's important to caveat that while this conversation goes on, because then a lot of people are outraged saying we're going to lose all these amazing games. But the truth is, I don't think you and I could name a single game that was going to actually be lost when we did this. Like a digital exclusive PS3 game that didn't get remastered in some format. I honestly couldn't come up with one.
So do you care at all about playing a game as it was originally intended to be experienced, such as for like an Uncharted, playing it on the PS3, or would you rather play the remaster? Because some people have to play it, like especially some of these older games, they have to play them on the original console, or else it's not the same.
So I like playing retro games. Like I think when we've talked in the past, you've been more for modern gaming. I'm probably more for retro gaming. But no, that doesn't matter to me at all. Like, Crash 2, for example, is one of my favorite games. The remake of it is awesome, but I still enjoy playing the PS1 version. But if I want to play that, I'll either put the disc into my PS3 or play it on my Vita or something like that. That's probably how I would play that game, if I'm being perfectly honest, rather than actually playing on a PS1. That's just how I would do it. I'm not that sort of phonetic about that preservation. Is it pedantic about like having to play it on the original hardware? I don't really understand that side of things. Maybe there's someone in the comments who can explain that side of it, because I don't fully understand that. I don't really see the difference of playing it on a PS3 versus playing it on a PS1.
Yeah, I'm not I'm not a big fan of playing old stuff that's ported. I think like even stuff that's kind of optimized for newer generations, like Yakuza Kiwami, I was
Mhm.
having a hard time getting through some of those games. There's just some quality of life stuff that you start to take for granted. And when
Oh,
you
I
dip
see.
back into the old times,
Yeah,
it's just not fun. Like when you go to games that don't have waypoints
yeah,
and quest help and stuff like that, and you're just doing an Elder Scrolls Morrowind, and it's just like, go wander that way
yeah,
for two
yeah, yeah,
hours,
yeah,
and
yeah,
then maybe you'll do one quest. You're like, look, I got a lot of time. I'm not 12 anymore. I
yeah.
got stuff to do. This is hard. Or games like the Kingdom Hearts games came back to PS4 under the Ultra Super Mega Mix 2.418 deep
Yeah,
dive slash
they're a
over
little bit rough.
285. It did that. It doesn't have autosave.
Yeah,
Like I was just like, can I get autosave at key points? Because like I don't want to play for an hour, die, and then lose stuff because I didn't go specifically to a save area. We have a whole console that does this now. I really dislike games not being optimized up to today's standard. So it's like hard for me to even be interested in going back, which is kind of why I don't care too much about backwards compatibility. Do you
I
care about BC at all?
I like that we have differing opinions on this, because I agree as well about that first point. The thing, if you try and play Uncharted 1 on the PlayStation 3, it's a very rough experience. That game has been optimized on the PlayStation 4. The Nathan Drake Collection port of that game is far superior to the original. The original is messy, rough, loading is slow. It has really strange control schemes with using the tilt on the controller and things like that. The triggers are reversed. It's a very strange experience, and it's really a product of its time. It came out 2007, 2008. Way back when the PlayStation 3 launched. I think it was like a launch year or second year game, and it was rough. Like it was utilizing all those special features of the DualShock 3. I can't remember what they called it. Six axis controller, and it was really used to showcase that. And so it's not great. But then you see the PS4 version, and it's enhanced. It's 60 frames. It's got autosave. It's got better textures. It loads better. The control scheme is natural, and they've taken those learnings from Uncharted 3 and Uncharted 2 and implemented them into this remake to make Uncharted 1 up to that standard. And it's still not as good as those other games, but it's a better experience. So I think there's something to be said about improving the experience with the modern times, like you said, implementing features like autosave, trophies, things like that we expect in games today. And I think that if they do it properly and they don't do a rough job of it, then yeah, it's a way better experience than playing the original. I agree with that, for the most part, at least. In terms of backwards compatibility, I'm in two minds about it. It would be nice to have, but I'm not losing any sleep over it. I like two of my two favorite games are Castlevania Symphony of the Night, which I can play on PS4 now because they've re-released it, and Silent Hill 2. which is a PlayStation 2 game. They re-released it on PS3, but it was very bad. It was a very buggy, messed up port. So the PS2 version is still the superior version of the game. But the problem is, my PS2 is 25 years old at this point. I don't know how much life that thing has left in it before it dies. What happens when my PS2 dies? And I'm not expecting it to last forever. I take good care of my stuff, but does that mean I just can't play that game ever again when my hardware dies? So I see that's probably my biggest concern. It's not as much about full backwards compatibility in that sense, but like, does that mean I won't ever be able to touch my favorite game again until I can get hardware that can touch it?
So I don't know. For me, on the backwards compatibility thing, like when the PS5 was gearing up to get released, one of the biggest questions you were seeing a lot in Reddit, your channel, other game media outlets was, will there be full backwards compatibility? Can't I take my Tie to Tasmanian and put it right in my PS5 and play it? And there were people who were like, legitimately, this is a deal breaker for me. This is the number one most thing that I need in this console. I need to be able to play my entire physical collection all the way back. And I just thought it was silly.
That was never.
I was like, no. Well, I was like, can I just get my number one? Can I get good games first? Can I get good games? My number one focus is, can we get something interesting to play?
I agree.
Not Godfall.
Yeah.
And other people are like, no, I want to play my old stuff from 1995. Can I play Tekken Tag Tournament on PS1 on my PS5? And I just thought it was so silly because like I think you used the word entitled, and that probably would bother some people, but it really does feel that way, where it's like the games industry needs to bend their knee towards how I want to experience the game collection I already make.
Yeah.
And I think that it's just a weird demand, because in my mind, if you already have a PS1, PS2, PS3 physical collection, you got those consoles too. So really what you're saying is, yeah, I have a huge collection, but I just don't want to plug those in. I want to just plug my PS5 in and take the disc directly from over there and put it in this one. The
truth is, though, you'd have people complaining if they did that anyway, because they'd say, oh, like you're not doing it properly, you need to play it on the original hardware. So it doesn't really matter what Sony would have done. People would have whinged either way, whatever the decision ended up being, I imagine.
Well, you were on the inside for a long time. Does Sony actually ever care? Is there any money to be made in making consoles backwards compatible?
I would say, like, realistically, no. I mean, I can't really say too much, but if you look at some of look at Xbox. Okay, Xbox introduced full backwards compatibility for games. Even if you look at achievements tracked, look at how many people are earning achievements in Red Dead Redemption, the first one, which is a backwards compatible
BC
title, right?
yeah.
And it's probably one of the more popular 360 games that's available on the Xbox One or the Series consoles. And I'd say, like, look at how many people are actually earning achievements on that game now, today, using backwards compatibility, and you'll see the numbers are minuscule. The numbers are so insignificant that it doesn't actually matter. And that's, I think, the truth behind it. The other thing as well is they have to be able to monetize these things. So, for Xbox to have done what they did by reselling Red Dead, for example, they needed to go back to Rockstar, get Rockstar to republish the game on another console, being the Xbox Series X or the Xbox One ecosystem, versus the 360, which is where it was licensed to be sold. It's not just as simple as saying, all right, all the 360 games that were available on the 360 are now on the Xbox One, or same with PS3, PS4, PS5, whatever. The game is licensed and published on a particular console in a particular year. To then decide to then re-release it, they have to go through that process of re-releasing the product again, giving it a new SKU, republishing it, paying for whatever licensing they have to pay for. Maybe it's music, maybe it's artists, maybe it's IP, to re-release the product again as a separate product, which is what it essentially is, even though it's the same game, even if it's not a remake or a remaster. So the fact that people thought it was going to ever be possible for you to play, PS1 all the way up to PS5 games on a single console was always wishful thinking. It was never going to happen. And even if it did happen, it would be a very stinted experience. They wouldn't be able to provide you, if you think about the PS1, very few of those publishers or developers even still exist today. and as a result, like none of those games would never get re-released. They'd all be lost to time, except for the big guys. So, that was always never going to happen. Is what I would say. But it's a very costly experience. People underestimate how much it costs to do these things. It's very similar to what you said at the start of the show about the trophy situation. They're not updating the game because no one bought the game on the Vita. It's going to cost them more money to submit a patch because it costs developers money to submit a patch to Sony and release a patch. If they're paying $600, $700 for a patch, but they only sold 100 copies of the game, they've lost money before they even release the patch. They're not going to then lose another $700 on it. So, that's what it comes down to at the end of it. It's always about money, right?
Yeah. But so if I got an email from Sony that says if it cost an extra $100, $200 to buy your console, but we could make it fully BC, I would say don't do it. I would say not interested. I don't want it.
I think a lot of people would agree though, because famously the PS3 did that. They released it as a fully backwards compatible console, but it was like $1,000, and they came out on stage at E3 and said, "Well, you better start a second job now to pay for this thing," and no one bought it. It almost killed the entire company until they redid it, took all that out of it, removed the backwards compatibility, and reduced the price by like $400, and then it started selling. They famously did it, and it shows like, oh well. People aren't prepared to pay that extra money for this then.
Yeah, especially when you probably, if you have those discs, you already have a console that can run them. Like, it would just be cheaper to just get an old used, that's PS3.
I think that was the thing, right? You could have bought probably a PS2 at the time for $100. So why would you pay an extra $400 for a PS3 to play the games you're already playing on it?
Yeah. So where do you stand on game preservation though? Like in the idea that, well, ultimately, the cost doesn't matter because games are art. Because this is art, art is preserved. If someone painted a beautiful portrait and someone said, we're closing the museum, that would be, and you said, we're going to throw the painting out with the museum, that would be pretty messed up in most people's eyes. Do you feel that way about games? Do you feel like games are art that should be preserved in some state one way or another?
I don't think games are art. I think games are entertainment. Similar to a film or a television show. There is an artistic element to games, and I think there is an argument for people to call it art. This is just my opinion. I'm not saying this is right or wrong. It's just how I feel about it. I think they're entertainment, though, rather than art. So,
you don't think movies can be art either, though?
I think they can. Yeah, I think there's an argument for it. But I would consider movies, or at least the movies I enjoy to watch, more entertainment than art. I think I would be more outraged if someone decided we're shutting down the Louvre and just the Mona Lisa just ends up in a dumpster out the back. I think it's like, wow, that's pretty messed up compared to like we're shutting down Naughty Dog and they just, they throw copies of Uncharted 3 out or something. I don't know. I don't think the same. I don't think it's as black and white as that. I think the conversation becomes a lot more grey depending on which side of the fence you come on about.
Didn't Naughty Dog lose the original Crash Bandicoot anyway?
Someone did lose. It might have been Konami losing.
Someone lost
Silent
the original
Hill.
of
I think Silent Hill. Konami lost Silent Hill.
I thought I watched a video on the jumping in the remake for Crash being a little off because they had to redo it because they couldn't find the original source code. Because someone just threw it in the dumpster.
It wouldn't
so it's just like,
honestly, wouldn't surprise me, I think, there's an argument to be made either side of it. I'm disappointed that people can't play. So I'm disappointed that I can't come on YouTube and be like, guys, Silent Hill 2 is like the best horror game ever made. You should go and check Silent Hill 2 out. Because I have no way to recommend that. I'm not going to be like, all right, you got to go on eBay, buy a secondhand copy of the game for like 300% more than what it's actually worth, and then a PS2 to play it on, etc. It's very hard for me to recommend that to people and enjoy that with people. So I'm disappointed in that sense. But in terms of like general preservation, I don't know.
You don't care.
Well, we've got so much to play on our current consoles anyway. Like, there's more than I could ever play in a lifetime on my PS4.
Some games are definitely not art. We can also make that statement.
Give me an example of a game that's not art.
Gut Whale. There you go. There's one right there. That ain't art, all right?
Wait,
Gut Whale.
What's Gut Whale?
Gut Whale, it's probably $4.99, and you get a platinum on it in 15 minutes. That ain't art. We're not putting that in a museum.
So we're
What's
saying
another one I saw?
My Name is Mayo?
Was it? Hentai versus Evil. Was that what I saw on
Really?
the marketplace?
Really?
Yep. And it's great.
Wait, so is My Name is Mayo art?
I would take that. I would take that argument as this was the game that destroyed trophies. Therefore, it should be preserved as the ultimate downfall for trophy hunting. I would accept that over Gravity Duck.
Yeah.
Or Awesome P. You're not putting Awesome P 2 in a museum. That thing's gonna give you glaucoma. All right.
What's a game then that you would consider is art?
I would put Shenmue in there.
Mm-hmm.
You know. Yeah.
You're not thinking like something like Asteroids or like Tetris.
No. I mean, just the first thing that comes to mind. I'm thinking of games that that changed the game industry. Not just Shenmue, but it just comes to my mind because it was the first game that was like so super expensive. That was so expansive. And I actually saw an exhibit that had Shenmue in it. Like in DC,
really?
There was an art gallery that did the history of games, and they pulled key games from each console, and the one for Dreamcast was Shenmue.
Well, I mean, that's not too hard for the Dreamcast. I mean, it wasn't.
Yeah, we're not putting Sonic Adventure in there. All right, relax. I mean, maybe Power Stone. Might do Power Stone. We're not putting Sonic Adventure in there. Sonic 1 or 2 before Sonic Adventure.
I'm a big Sega fan. I didn't grow up with Nintendo. I grew up with Sega. I've got my little Mega Drive plaque that sits here on my desk. This wasn't planned, by the way. I got my little Mega Drive. I've got my look at this. I'll show you this. I don't think I've ever shown George this stuff before. I got my miniature.
These are. I hope they're nude pics.
This is my miniature Sega Mega Drive.
Is that the Sega Mini? Those are way smaller than I thought.
Yeah, you got a little game controller there. You got a little copy of Sonic 3 in there as well.
Those consoles are actually that big. We were just really small when we played them.
Yeah, they were. This is actually a life size. We were just way younger when we played them. Nintendo wasn't as big on this side of the world, so we grew up with Mega Drive. Sadly.
Yeah, but I mean, if you're gonna put games in a museum for being artistic, there's a lot of good choices that you could pick. I mean, there are games that are visually moving. Games that I have played where I've been emotionally affected by them. Like more recently, when I got to the end of Death Stranding and like the full narrative was unfolding, I was like, I couldn't go to bed. I had to finish
full
everything.
on, right? Yeah.
Yeah, right when you're going through all of the stuff at the end. I don't want to ruin anything.
No, we won't spoil it.
But you're doing all of the boss stuff, and then the game drastically shifts, and then all the narrative is unfolded. I stayed up, and Kojima, I was like, oh, it's the end. I need to watch this. And that sucker went on for another hour of just cutscenes and just people crying and music, credits, video comes back, you wake up, video, credits, crying.
Would you say that's art, or would you say that's like entertainment, like good entertainment, good drama versus art?
Well, people say The Godfather is art. And I would agree. I would say someone put their creative effort and heart and soul into making something that I consumed that moved me emotionally. I will put games up there close to that. And in the same sense, I could doodle a PP on a notepad, and that is the Ratalaika of art. There's also high art that should go in a museum.
Well, technically, it's art. Technically, I mean, my monkeys behind me is an art installation. Technically, even though it's someone might say it's not, I would say it is. Like it's anything can or cannot be depending on someone's opinion. Really, I'd be curious though for everyone else to chime in. You guys watching the video at home, what do you guys think? Do you consider video games as art? Where do you sit on the video game preservation front? And sound off in the comments below. Are you more in sort of favor of what George is saying around how games can be perceived as art versus not art, or are you more sort of where I'm at, saying I think games are more entertainment versus art? I think there's no wrong or right answer, so don't feel particularly nasty about it. Just
yours is the wrong one.
Yeah, sure. Okay, just let us know your thoughts. That's all. Yeah,
I think it was Ebert that famously said that games could never replicate movies in terms of being art, and it really pissed a lot of people off. and
I don't think that's true.
it changed.
I don't think that there's anything that necessarily differentiates games or film, like that negates one of them not being art versus the other. I think it's just, again, it's just a matter of opinion. The way I view games is probably more not art, but that's just my view.
Yeah. Well, like when I just think about games like Metal Gear Solid, man, games like that, those like changed me.
What's
I
that?
saw things differently. Metal Gear Solid,
What's that one?
it's 4.99 cheap plat. It's an
Oh,
easy
Easy
one.
Platinum. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I don't think I've got that one. I'll check it out.
I mean, and then games like Mario and all kinds of stuff growing up. I think there's an argument to be made that experiences like that should be preserved. I don't think that I necessarily agree with the argument that all games must be preserved. I just don't agree.
It's hard though because it is a time and a place situation. I remember when we were in high school, playing Halo 2, like LAN parties of Halo 2 on the original Xbox. Same with we're at university and we're in dorms and we were playing Halo Reach like together in dorms, like just all night, every day, all night we're playing Halo.
Smash tournaments.
Like these are things that like that's a time and a place. Like that doesn't happen anymore. And I love those memories of Halo 2, but I also know that like that's done. Like that's never coming back. Like the next generation of kids are never going to experience it that same way. They'll play online maybe in a new Halo game or Call of Duty or whatever it may be, but never the same way that you or I might have done when, online gaming wasn't even a thing.
Yeah. Yeah. So, God, those are the days, man. Like just sitting in a room with a bunch of stinking dudes playing Smash Brothers all night, and the guys who aren't on the sticks are playing Yu-Gi-Oh on the cards.
I remember that, yeah.
Yeah. Somebody's mom comes in. You guys want some pizza?
Yeah.
It stinks in here.
Some Domino's pizza.
Yeah. And you're just like, hey, shut up. We're doing 100 stock. 100 stock, four-player 100 stock, and then whoever wins is the best,
Yeah, those are the days. I can imagine what you smell like right now.
And I smell good. I shower before I content create. All right?
Famously.
I put soap on. But yeah, Symphony of the Night, that's one of those games. If you said I'm gonna put that in a museum, I'd be like, that makes sense. I'll be okay with that. I'd be okay with preserving that. I was actually watching a girl first time stream Symphony of the Night before we started this.
She like it?
Yeah, she was raving about it. Did you play Bloodstained?
I never finished it. I loved it. The art style of that game.
It is kind of goofy.
It sort of bothers me a little bit, the 3D. The game itself, like fundamentally gameplay wise, the game plays the way it should though for a Symphony of the Night clone. The other Bloodstained game that they made, the
8-bit one.
Yeah, the Castlevania 3 ripoff ones. They did a prequel and a sequel to that. That one's fantastic, like absolutely superb.
I didn't play those. I only did Bloodstained, and I did the platinum on it. I loved it.
Was it a hard?
Once I got over the art, I loved it.
Was it a hard plat?
No.
I should go and do that. Maybe that's a good one to go jump back into because I did enjoy the game. I just like they released Symphony of the Night like the year before, so you can play that on PS4 now and get a platinum in it. And
it was a combo, right?
Yeah, it have Rondo of Blood as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
you can play it and enjoy it on on the current hardware, and you're like, well, I mean, I've got this. This is the better version of that game.
I also played it on Xbox 360. So like, there's every generation. Yeah, Symphony of the Night was on 360 as an Xbox Live Arcade game.
I remember
I got 200 on it. So like that's like there's like 5 generations of consoles since PlayStation that you can play it on. Also, you can just probably emulate it on your computer.
Yeah, for free if you were into that. Yeah. Well, we don't condone that, but yeah, you probably could. I think to buy that game now, like if you're buying that game on PS1, I think you're looking at like $400 or something to buy that game.
Yeah,
it's not cheap.
You shouldn't pay that. It's like Blood Omen. Blood Omen is like that.
What's Blood Omen?
The Legacy of Kain series.
Right.
So Blood Omen was one of those like I'm a vampire run around, but it was original on PlayStation, and it's just a hard game to get. And then Soul Reaver came after that. I don't know if you remember the Soul Reaver games, but that's another one of those classic games where it's like probably not worth it, and you're really just buying the nostalgia.
It's hard, man, because I think if we did have modern marketplaces where you could pick up that content, like the Steam store is a great example. It's a store that's always existed. So a lot of old retro games are still on there and you can pick them up and play them, whenever. Like there's no generational divide per se, which means that like they're just always going to exist and always going to be playable. It would be lovely if we had something like that with an Xbox Game Pass or a PlayStation Now, where they could incorporate some of those older games that you could play and enjoy. It'd be awesome if there was a library somewhere for you to access that content. It is a bit sad, but also we just have too many games anyway. There's so
Too
many
many games.
games to play.
You just played games until you're 50 years old. You would still be getting through the A's. By the time
If you just played PS4 games until you're 50 years old, you would still be just getting through the A's.
Yeah, it's like an unreal amount of games, and just before that, your backlog is it's surreally large. Like you cannot believe how many games you bought and you still haven't played.
Sealed copies,
you're just sitting there. I bought this sealed. I am gonna get to it one day, and then you just never do. And then you look at this giant stack of games, and then go right on the internet and tweet, "You cannot close a PS3 store down. What if I want to buy games off of it?"
It's a pretty tough one. Speaking of, I traded in a bunch of old PS4 games that were still sealed into GameStop, like last week to pre-order Ratchet and Clank. So I took a big stack of games in there to trade them in. I'm like sealed games, brand new games. Like, all right, I'll give you $2 for this. I'll give you $3 for this. It felt so bad. I'm like, Ratchet and Clank is like $80. So I'm like trading in a bunch of stuff to try and make up $80 to buy this game because it's ludicrously expensive. Yeah.
We used to do that at Blockbuster with games that they would field destroy. So
field
like
destroy?
What meaning like we have to remove these from the shelves and get rid of them. No one's buying them, so we're just going to throw them out. So we would go right into the dumpster, grab stacks of movies and games, drive them right to a GameStop and get a bunch of credit. I pre-bought Halo 3 doing that.
Wow.
They're like, why do you have so many movies and games from Blockbuster? I'm like, I work at Blockbuster. We got rid of these.
Yeah. They didn't care. They're just like, we don't care. We'll fence your games for you.
No, yeah. They're like, thanks.
Yeah,
like, give us more crap. Give us more crap to flip. As long as you just want store credit, we're in.
I made a decision, I think, a while back that I'm never going to get to my PS4 backlog. So I just sort of took out a pile of games. I put them in a box. Some of them are sealed, some of them are opened. And I was like, I'm just going to trade these in as new PS5 games come out that I want. And I'll just trade them in towards those games. And that's sort of a way of funding it a little bit rather than having to pay the $60 or $70 for a brand new game that next gen is charging these days.
God, it's so expensive.
It's tough. That's why Game Pass is good.
Yeah, it's expensive and it makes me just want to play my old games. I wish we had backwards compatibility. Do you do physicals at all? I don't really do physical games.
I don't either. I was pretty much purely digital, but the prices of games is so high now that I can't afford to just buy games. It's too expensive. So I had to trade in because I just can't afford to pay that price. It's too much. I can't justify it. Like I can't pay $80 for a game. It's so expensive.
Well, that's more than 80.
That's 80 American. Right? For me, that's like $120.
Yeah, God, $120 for a game. Imagine that, Americans, these filthy Americans.
Ratchet and Clank, a Rift Apart, is $129 in Australia. So that's just a bit of context, but which works out to be about like $85, I think, for you guys. I try and talk in American terms as much as I can, but yeah, it's a lot of money.
I think it's 80 on our marketplace. I was looking at it today. And then you're gonna get the platinum in 25 hours, then delete it, and then you just have $120, and you're gonna see the trophy guide, and it's gonna say 10 hours, and you're gonna go, oh no.
GameStop has a good policy on returning games, though. If you buy a game, return it within like 5 days or something, you get your money back.
Yeah, it's something like that. Yeah.
I mean, I don't normally like taking advantage of things like that, but also, $80 is a lot of money.
It's so much money. Like. I was watching someone play Pokemon Snap, and he said, my only regret is not buying this physical so I could trade it in. He was like, I paid full price for this, and I regret not getting it physical so I could trade in and get a little bit of money back.
Yeah.
Like, the health of the gaming economy is not very good when everyone's like, I just need to get physical so I can just get something back because this is too much money.
It's hard, man, because I'm for the industry increasing their prices because I've been on one side of it, so I know the cost of development, I know what goes into it, so I do understand that there needed to be an increase in prices. But then being on this side of it as well, purchasing the games, it's impossible because there's so much. If there was only a dozen new games of consequence coming out each year, it's manageable, right? One a month, maybe something like that. It's like, okay, that's manageable. But this month alone, we've had like 4 massive releases. It's like, how on earth do you keep up with that? It's impossible. It's literally impossible. Money and time.
God, if you buy Returnal, Resident Evil Village, Biomutant, and then pre-order Rift Apart, and then
Mass Effect came out as well.
Deathloop.
Yeah,
Deathloop, and then Mass Effect. You know, you just put $500 into games.
Yeah, and it's like there's definitely a better use of that $500. No offense to gamers out there, but like,
it's a different console. You can buy a new console with that.
I love games and I love gaming as well, but there is just a better use of $500, honestly.
Yeah.
I don't know. You could buy a jumper like this, so.
You can buy an Xbox shirt. You're in trouble for that one, buddy. The comments are gonna get you for that one.
I like this shirt. Hey, you've got the green background. You painted the room green.
Not like the George shirt.
Yeah, it's just George's merch.
I'm tired of living this way.
Yeah, me
This
too.
is what I like so much about this shirt.
I'm tired of living this way as well.
That was the motto they drew this while we were playing Jackbox.
Maybe we'll make that the title of this video.
I'm tired of living this way. Well, I'm recording a podcast at 1:52 a.m.
Yeah,
I think someone in Australia.
I think it's time for you to go to bed, my friend. This has been a good chat. I've enjoyed this one. I think this has been probably a better discussion compared to the last one we had. I don't know. I can't really remember. It was a while back, but
I was kind of mean in the last one about collectors. I thought
you were worried
it was a silly hobby. I thought it was a silly hobby, but I've evolved since.
You bullied me quite a lot, and we didn't have our Bang sponsorship, so there was like a few things missing from that video.
And the snake skit was missing too. I very much appreciated the snake skit.
I just spilled Bang everywhere, so thank you for that. I appreciate that.
Yeah, your desk is about to start melting. That stuff is cancerous. Be careful.
Can I ask, just before you go, what is super creatine? Is that a real life thing? I've never heard of it before.
You remember in the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie when Shredder became Super Shredder? It was the super creatine. That's what they hit him with.
Because I'm very familiar with creatine. I just didn't know what super creatine was.
It's the super version.
It's just a double dose of creatine. They hit you twice.
It's creatine on Ultra Instinct, dude. It's creatine super.
I'm almost Ultra Instinct now. Then okay.
It's fair training with the Angel Whis.
Yeah.
I'm always like, what is COQ10? What is COQ10?
Ultra COQ10. Yeah.
What is Ultra COQ10?
I've never heard of COQ10 either.
It's a supplement you can get in vitamin shops, but I don't know what it does.
It's got aminos, creatine, and COQ10. I don't know. I think we're talking about it too much. I don't think Bang likes us talking about it, so we'll just try and. I think we may have just.
The Bang enforcement crew is gonna kick in our doors.
We may have inadvertently ruined our Bang sponsorship by talking about it. I'm sorry, at Bang CEO. All right, I think that's a wrap. Let us know what you guys think about backwards compatibility, game preservation, things like that. As always, really curious to get everyone's thoughts in the comments down below. Leave a like on this video. I mean, you can leave a dislike if you want as well. They both count. But preferably a like would be nice. It helps my ego out more than anything. But if you want to leave a dislike, that helps the video out too. So that's completely fine if you feel that way inclined. I imagine if you've gotten this far in the video, you're probably going to be leaving a like. The other thing as well is remember to subscribe. I don't say it during the podcast. I'm going to start doing it now because my videos where I don't say it, people unsubscribed during the last podcast instead of subscribing. So I figure it needs to be said because otherwise you guys are forgetting. So hit the subscribe button down below. Famously, on the last podcast, we actually had about 55 unsubscribes on the channel. So I guess I need to continue to tell you guys to subscribe so you don't just people are just watching the video like, I guess I should unsubscribe. You didn't tell me to subscribe.
Instructions unclear. I guess I should unsubscribe.
Can you not unsubscribe, please? That's just don't do that, please. It's the first time since I started YouTube where my subscribes are less than my... So I get unsubscribes every day, of course, because look at my face. I mean, of course I'm going to get unsubscribes every day. It balances out, though. Normally you get enough new people coming that the people leaving, there's still a gap, and it's still good.
That's the game.
When the podcast went live, that's the first day where my graph, which normally sort of sits like this, did this and dipped below 1 or 0. The first time that's ever happened where I had negative subscribers because so many people unsubscribed. If you did unsubscribe last time and you're watching this now and you're at this point, don't subscribe again. Just leave and never come back because you're actually dead to me. So just get out of here. Click the X button. It's like probably at the top there somewhere, and never come back. And if you comment, Lee, ban them straight away. Just do that. Yeah, you've got full permission to ban them, Lee. Subscribe to George as well. George's got a YouTube channel now. He's doing weekly content over on YouTube. It's actually really good. George is not into YouTube, like creating YouTube content. He started creating content a couple of weeks back, and he's doing such a good job. I'm so happy with how his videos are looking, how his thumbnails are coming along, and how quickly his channel is growing as well.
I'm trying.
He is doing a heckin' good try.
I make fun of Twitch.
He makes fun of Twitch, which is one of my favorite things to do as well in my off time. Plug your stuff. Plug away.
Yeah, come to my channel, youtube.com/egeorge and subscribe. And then I also do Twitch shows. I think someone came over here from the podcast or came to my Twitch channel from the podcast. Awesome. I just got a random follow in the middle of the night, and it seemed like a gamer name. But hey, on the last podcast, I really liked talking to people in the comments. So send me some more messages and recommendations in there. And hey, if you dislike the video, can you tell us why you dislike it?
No. They don't need to do that. They can just dislike it.
Because it's like
they can just unsubscribe and dislike it. That's
someone said, "Whoa, that dislike ratio," and I jokingly said, "It's me, right?" And the guy said, "No, you were great."
No, it's me. Oh. It's definitely me. I don't know. The dislike ratio is normally,
to be good.
It's normally like that. If I wasn't on the show, it would be getting more likes.
No, come on now.
No, I upload this podcast in like late in my evening on a Friday. First thing Friday morning for George. So George will probably reply to the comments when these go live for the first wee while. Normally I try and stick around for like an hour or two, but I upload this one quite late for me. So he normally, I think he'll probably monitor it, at least for the time being, and reply and have chats. So if you want to have a chat with George, you can do that there.
Yeah, I loved it. I love talking to people in the comments.
That's good. I am going to wrap this thing up, and I will see all you guys in the next one. Thanks so much for watching. I appreciate each and every one of you. Have a great evening. Do you want to have the final word?
Thank you for watching.
That's it. April Patreons, thank you all so much. You'll be seeing your names popping up here on the left-hand side of the screen if you were a Patreon from the $1 tier or lower through the month of April. Thank you so very much, each and every one of you April Patreons. You'll be seeing your names on every single one of my videos all through May 2021. Without you guys, we couldn't continue making these videos, so thank you so much. You're all leg ends in my book.